right? We're recording already.
Oh, we were already talking about it. Super important.
Cool
So
pointer.
happen?
Let me see what Gani told me. You know Gani, right?
Yeah.
It was mostly just setup stuff. He showed me how to switch the color picker to a slider, like what I have with Sprite.
Are you able to do this yet?
What? Yeah, I am actually. I did that.
So you did the Control Alt, so you can, or whatever you binded it to, because these keys aren't. You don't want to use a keyboard very often. You want to be able to drag it up and down like this. Are you able to do that? Using your.
No, he didn't teach me that.
Okay, let's go get that sorted.
He didn't say anything. Actually, that might be better.
What happened? Okay, yeah.
Take it from the top.
This is let's see. Tools. I think it's actually, where would it be? It's like it might be a shortcut modifier. Okay. So, can you go? Do you have Clip Studio open?
No, I can't open it. Sorry, I had a full screen.
That's okay. Can you go to File, Modifier, Key Settings?
Yeah, I can. 1 second.
Let me know when you got there.
Sure, it just takes a little bit to boot up.
Okay.
Here I am. Should be here at least. File.
Modifier key settings. It's modifier key settings. Yeah.
What you need from here?
If you see this third option, Control plus Alt. Okay, is that set to change brush size?
Control Alt, yes, change brush size.
Okay, so basically you hold those two buttons together, and then you can change the brush size like this. All you gotta do is move the cursor away from where you initially pressed. And when you move it closer...
I selected everything. How do I deselect everything?
Try Control D.
Control D. That worked.
Okay.
Control Alt.
Control Alt and press.
Oh yeah, it does work.
So when you drag out from the place you clicked, it'll get bigger, and then when you drag closer to where you clicked, it'll get smaller. So that's pretty useful. Now we have eraser.
Then again, I'm using a huge brush.
Mm-hmm.
So avoid using used brushes.
Yes, or be zoomed in properly for what your canvas size is. So now we have your eraser tool. And I don't know if Krita does this, but if you hold a tool down without releasing the button, eventually if you let go, it'll go back to the old tool. So I can draw. If I need to erase, I hold E, I erase, and I let go, and it goes back to my pen tool. That's very, very useful. So again, erase, let go, goes back to pen, and that can be set to a certain amount for it to not return to the old tool, but I think the default is okay for now. Later, if you want to customize that, I can show you how. But basically, there's a certain amount of time that it looks for before it resets or not. So do you get that idea?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Let's do, now we have different selections we have. If you press M, does that go to your selections?
Let me try that. M, selection area, yes. So
yeah, marquee,
rectangle, ellipse, polygon.
Now if you create a selection, if you hold delete, it should delete the area that you selected, so that everything inside of it gets deleted.
Let me try that. Oh Oh yeah, it does, and it doesn't deselect actually.
Right. Deselect is
It's really
Control
funny.
D. Deselect is Control D. And if you
Yeah,
forget,
but it moved further.
hmm?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
if you forget your hotkeys or want to know what else you can do with your selection, you can go to the Select tab up top. You can see Select All, Deselect, Reselect, Invert Selected Area. So that's what we were doing in Critter, right? We had the our line art. We select around the outside. So let's delete this first. You select on the outside, and then we can do invert selected area, or we could use the hotkeys, Control Select I, and then we have our selection on the inside of our line art. So does that make sense to you right now? Invert selected area?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and then we have
What's the shortcut for selection again? I forgot. Sorry.
selection,
Or the
marquee is M.
Okay, marquee.
M,
I'll
yeah,
keep
yeah,
that in
yeah.
mind.
And you have rectangle selections, you have ellipse selection. So if you, for the ellipse one, and a lot of these ones, the aspect ratio is fluid, but if you hold shift, it'll lock the aspect ratio, which is very, very useful. If you wanted to do a circle, you hold shift and then you get a circle. Polyline is like a rectangular lasso tool, so it lets you make hard-edged selections. Very useful for things like buildings and certain kinds of architectural art. But a very useful thing a lot is lasso. And lasso lets you, if you have an area that you want to paint a mixture of hard and soft edges, what you do is this. So now I have a tone shape that I created that has softness around this area, but around the edges of my selection are hard edges of the tone. So you see that a lot of the time with like boobs. Like actually, honestly, boobs. And then delete, and we deselect. Control D. Now we have, actually, I think by default, pen and brush have the same shortcut. So let's go ahead and modify that.
Wait, before we move on, one question: how do
Hmm.
I transform selection again? Or how do I warp selection?
Okay,
Or is
so
that
if
not a
you
thing?
make a no, you do. You make a selection. You press Control T. Then you can warp it.
See, I tried doing that, but it didn't work on mine. I don't know.
You need to have a selection first. So if you just press Control T, I think
No, I did.
it'll just. Oh,
Now it worked.
okay. If you just press Control T, it'll select the whole layer, which can be useful sometimes too. But yeah, that's how you do that. You can squash it by using the handles. If you hold Control, you can select. It lets you skew it better. I don't know how it works. I think this is trying to retain their aspect ratio or something. But if you do this, it lets you control it better if you hold Control. So that's Control and Shift do things to modify the operation that you're doing. So it's worth just seeing what they do, just intuitively, and just trying things out. It's very useful. Now let's go do the shortcut for the pen and the brushes. So I don't like how they're set to the same thing. So you have to go to Tools, Shortcut Settings, Tools, and then we're going to go to Pen, and you're going to change the pen to P and then brush to B, and you're going to take airbrush off. Honestly, just we're going to put all of our brushes inside of the brush area. So let me know when you manage to get these set up.
Alright, give me a second. It's shortcut settings, right?
Yes. And then you go to category tools.
Where's tools? Not file.
And then category. go to File,
Oh wait, no, I found it.
Shortcut Settings.
Pen. Oh, pen is B and brush is B already over here. Airbrush
Oh.
is also B. So airbrush and brush are.
Take airbrush off. Take airbrush off. Yeah. And then take pencil off as well. That's what I thought I was wanted you to do.
Wait.
Yeah. Take pencil off.
Pencil off, right?
Yeah. Just put
Pencil off.
everything you want to be in the same area. Because what happens if you press P, you'll sometimes go to the wrong area since they're on the same hotkey. It's just not intuitive that the way it's currently set up. I would have all you really need is one area for pen and then one area for brush. I think that's honestly the best way to do it.
Right.
Just put all your pencils, everything that you like inside a P, and then brushes for things that are more brushy. But honestly, as you can see here, I have everything in P anyways. All the tools I use are inside one area. I don't like jumping around very often. It's not really, I think it's just the way it's set up for categorization for people who don't know what tools they want to use, and just for organizing all of the available tools possible. But when you're really actually working, you really want everything in just one small little folder, right? So you can access it in one place while you're working. That's what I do. Rather than, if I want an eraser, no. I mean, if I want a soft brush, I'll gotta jump to airbrush. If I want a hard pen, I gotta jump to pen. If I want things that are more painterly, I gotta jump to brush. It's just kind of annoying in the long run. So this is what I recommend doing. And the way you do it, essentially how you do this is if you're in the subtool area, wherever you are, all you do is you take the tool and then you drag it to the top tab, and it creates a new folder for pen. So that's all you gotta do. If you want to go back, you just drag it back to where you came from. So it's really, really easy to do. Really easy to make new organizations on the fly and stuff. So that's why I have so many. When you download materials too, this is really useful. So
can you drag a brush, like for example, I don't know, when you random brush, see the on for texture 2, could you drag it like to the pen section, like to the pen icon on the left?
Yeah, so I could take blur, I can move this to any of these and lets me move it. Yeah, so I could drag it here, but it makes no sense to put this here. But that's basically that. If I put this back to where was I gotta bring it back here. I gotta bring it back to here. Okay. And so alright, so let's talk a little bit about clipping layers. This is a lot easier in Clip Studio than it is in Krita, in my opinion. So let's say we have a base color layer, right? So let's just do a little bam, and then we have bam, we got a dude here. And then make a new layer. So this is our new layer icon. Raster layer is the main layer you want to use. Vector layer is, I think, graphic design kind of, but not quite. Basically, when you use a vector layer, the lines have handles on them, and you can drag them around.
Yeah, they're like mathematical lines instead of actual drawn lines.
And then you can use a vector eraser, and lets you delete entire strokes. So if I do this again, so if I use the eraser, this is what happens. So it deletes the intersections, which is very useful for drawing hair. So if I do this, let me this a little bit seriously. Awful. But if I do this eraser tool, sometimes it won't exactly do what you want, but you can erase the intersection in theory. Sometimes you're not going to get what you want to happen. But that's the basic idea of that. Let's delete this. Let's go back to doing... Honestly, I don't use vector layer much, and for now you shouldn't either. It's a little bit... It's better for really, really clean line art, and neither you and me don't really do that very often, so... A lot of people don't use it really for painting stuff. Probably the art that you're into, I don't think they use it much. So let's delete this. So we have our layer here. If you have this button here, this is our clipping layer button. So now get rid of, I'm on the wrong tool, right? So I gotta go here. Now I can color into this, right? And we're familiar with that. And if you want more, you make a new layer, clip it again.
Okay, one thing I wanted to ask, for example, can you draw like one strip of color with a hard brush?
Like this?
Yeah, that works. What if I wanted to draw only inside of the white lines? What do I do?
Like what is here?
Yes.
Like right here? Inside these areas? I would need to select...
But only the intersection of the white and the green.
On. Oh yes, it would still be fine. Because you're still clipped.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the clipping is still going to exist. Or... what would you do?
A clip and layer for a clip and layer.
You cannot. What you want to do for that is actually you have two different options. Two different options or ways to increase the specificity of what you're doing with your things. So if I have this layer here, I can do this, and then what I can do is this button here, lock transparent pixels, is going to let me paint inside the green area only. So that's your next order of operations that you can use. And the other one will obviously be if you just create a selection temporarily, you can do it, right? So that also works. But the other one is layer folders. So let's make a folder. What I'm gonna do is control click on this layer here, on layer 1. And what that does, it's going to create a selection from the pixels on that layer. Now what if I do is I make a new folder, a new layer folder, which we haven't used yet. If I click here, create layer mask, or I think if I do, yeah, create layer mask. If I put these inside of here, what's going to happen is I can paint on this layer normally still. Let's do on a layer above. Since this would be more what will happen. You have a base layer on the lower side, so like the lower folder, lower color for a character. And then you would start drawing like hair maybe onto the character. Just drawing hair, and then what's going to happen, if you wanted to paint into the hair only, you could then clip into the hair. Because what we did is we used two different ways of controlling our masks. We had the layer mask version, which is what this icon here is going to signify, where we have if you right click here on top of this icon, we see there's a mask enabled. If I delete that mask, this is going to cross out. I mean, if I disable the mask, it's going to cross out like that. If I right click again and enable, it'll do that. I could show the mask area. So this is everything that's getting masked out. It's going to be shown. So everything in black here, and this is going to be the part that is being hidden. Everything in white was revealed. Now, this is a layer mask applied to a folder. So let's talk a little bit. Let's go back. We're going to step back for a second and just show that if you take a selection and create a layer mask, this is going to be just a layer with a single layer mask, and it's only applied to that layer, right? So if I made a drawing on top of it, it's not going to be changed by the mask. So this mask only applies to the layer, and when the layer mask is applied to a folder, it affects all the layers inside of that folder. Does that make sense how that works?
It does.
It's a little bit tricky to use it. Basically, in practice, if you have a character, if you have all these layers like hair, clothing that you're making inside of it, and like weapon stuff and whatever, various things inside of the character, you would want a layer mask for that character applied to a folder containing that character. So let me show a practical example, because I think I have some art that I could show here.
Oh, did you draw that?
Yeah, I drew this. Let's see, we have a layer here. What is my mask here doing?
What's with the file name?
Oh, I just had too many art folders and CSP files. What did I do here? Oh, different things. This is a little silly thing. I think I had... So this time I did not use the layer mask. All I did is I had... what, the line art? Let's see what I did. I had my mask here. I had my base layer for the shapes. I had lines here on different layers. So character, hair, twin tail. I don't know what this layer is doing. I think it's for the eyes or something. But basically what I did is when you do that, it lets you erase and manage your lines easier, like for the hair, not getting in the way of other things. Very practical way of separating your lines. So I had, my base colors. No, I painted transitions into the base colors because I wanted to go fast, essentially. As you can see, it's not flat colors. There's already like lighting applied to these colors on one layer. That's one way of doing it. And then I was using different blending modes to change the color a little bit. And that was how that went. As you can see, sometimes a character art can actually be made with very few layers and not happening. And you can still get a very like refined result. I guess what's confusing currently is what all this hard light stuff is. I can try and demonstrate to you. You know about multiply and screen, right?
I actually don't. That's another thing I wanted to ask. But I
Okay.
figured we would see about that some other day. I just wanted to get the basic hangs of
Okay, okay.
CSV for now.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we had the layer mask. Let me find something that showed that, maybe. I think this one.
Not that I don't want to learn about it, of course. It's just, I'm a bit
I
worried
don't know
about
what your
avoiding
priorities are,
something.
yeah.
Oh my god, that's
It's
adorable. Tragic.
yeah. And we had here. Is this all in, what's going on here? Okay, this is a mask applied to all three characters, as you can see. And then we have the characters separated into these other folders. So this one's for the center character. This guy's on the left. And I don't know why. I had all these different things going on above here. This one got kind of messy with different things going on. Different lighting effects going on. So, is there anything here that's, what else? So what happened here is, something you'll see happen is people will merge all their layers together and they'll apply final corrections on top. That's what I did here. This is one layer, right? But there's nothing else below it. That's just so that I can apply effects and post-processing. This is a darker version of the original here. So I made a vignette by erasing the center here. If I do this, you can see that's erased here. That makes it a vignette effect. Then I applied overlay to make glow and progressively just kind of cleaned up here. You can see that I painted just straight on top of the hair here. And here I changed the neck a little bit. More vignette. More shadows I applied to make it a more harmonious color. And there's that. There's the stuff that I originally had would be here or here. Line art. So hair. Part of her body.
Good continuous lines like that, or is that just practice? I used to like not scratch my lines, but like, I guess fold up my lines.
I think
Is it just
if I
practice?
zoom in, it's not going to be as clean.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see like
Part of it
like
is
actually
zooming
two or
in.
three lines.
Yeah. When you zoom out, it's going to look
Even so, my lines
continuous.
still are a bit like a bit frayed alongside.
Part of it's practice, part of it's knowing. I think precision mode helps.
Hide it.
Part of it's precision modes. The other part is having a sketch underneath. Like I had a sketch underneath here. Right. So that was messier at first, right? So that's for the sketch, right? So then we go on top of that. So this is actually relevant to what we're talking about. We have this layer here, no, this icon here actually lets you very easily change this into a sketch layer. So you can draw on top of it and see better than if you had it set to gray. It's easier to just see when you are actually put this back. Where was it? How many different versions did I have? This is a different version apparently. And then I cleaned it up or just did something to it. And if I do this, let's see if I get this to work. Okay, there we go. So I was cleaning on top of it, right? Then we can get rid of that. That's our lines, and this is going to be our color here. So various things. This is my layer folder that has the layer mask set up on top of it, so that I can just create my colors here. So I have these on 2 different folders. I'm using a clipping layer here for my hair. That's for my hair shadows. And I had skin shadows. That's applying to the base skin layer. So let's just show that like that. So there's just my base colors right here now, and then applied with my shadows. And then for the female, again we have our base colors, then shadows applied with multiply. And here we have actually 2 base layers, which is more of an advanced thing to do, but if you want to separate things and make it easier to paint, sometimes you actually want 2 different layers for the base colors. We can talk about that some other day, but that's just how that goes. Let's see how your project might look like in practice. We have all these different layer masks going on at times. Let's go back to talking about Cup Studio in general.
One thing I wanted to know, what's a good pencil you recommend for like, well, out of the default ones, what's a good pencil / brush you recommend for like sketching, and what's a good one to recommend for line art?
I'm not going to give you what I use. I can give you what I use. There's a lot of different things I have here.
People using the basic G Pen or the hard round.
So this is like a hard. This is this one here is like a hard round.
That's so thin. That's so skinny.
It's just what I had it set up to. It's random. What was that? I'll need to take melatonin soon, I think.
That's
I think.
Meds?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to start calling it now then?
No. I'm gonna sleep 2 hours later. We're good. But yeah, I just needed to set an alarm for it so that I don't miss out an opportunity to sleep well tonight. All right, we're good on that. Okay, so this brush called Line Art No Buildup is what I like using a lot. This is just because I had a different brush that had a weird effect. Based off this one, if I hold my pen down, it builds up even if my hand's not moving. You see how that works?
Oh, I do, yeah.
Okay. So that can be annoying because when you're doing line art or just drawing, you get these really annoying points on your drawing by not paying attention. So I modified it to get rid of that effect. It was annoying. So go back to Wool Pen. So this is what I use quite a bit for doing line art and sketching too. Even it's just really solid because it gives you variety and size just a tiny bit, and it's really generally easy to control. In my opinion, you can shade things in really easy. And we have some other brushes here that are interesting. This is just like a G pen, really. This has texture on it, so it's a little bit prettier. And you can do just stuff with this too. The main thing is controlling your brush size. That's going to be what really makes the main effect. Most of the G brushes do very similar things. Your control of your brush size is what really makes the difference, and your control over your pen pressure being clean. See, I'm going too thin for my hairlines here. We have this one here. And what's the difference?
Ooh,
This is like a soft. This is like a little bit softer version of what I was using earlier. I think these are mostly the same brush. I'm not exactly sure what's different about them. We have this is based off of to mimic the art of an artist called Nekojira. His line is very soft a lot of the time. So this is for if you wanted to, build up your line quality gradually, get a more textured effect or feather. I think, hold on, let me think about this. If I do this, if we're drawing eyes, a lot of the time, eyes have a lot of strokes for making a textured look. So if you use many strokes, you can get a very sophisticated look to it. And if you zoom out, it's going to be looking pretty dope. So this is for, finessing eyes, really, to be honest. The eye finesse. I mean, eyelashes and all that stuff. Get the finesse going on. And this one, I don't know what else. This one was kind of a lame idea. I can honestly delete this one. This pen is very cool. It's very textural, fun to draw with, but not the greatest for control because it's kind of hard to control. It's a very weird texture going on. This is used by a pretty popular artist. It's very similar to the other ones, but it has more texture applied to it. So it can be a good in between to use. Basic idea is the same. Not much shape dynamics, but it has the opacity control and a little bit of texture applied to it. So it has a pretty nice appearance. The proportions here are fudge, but it's a good brush. And I'll send all these to you in the Wolf folder since it's what I usually use. And so this is just another textured brush for painting, like really painterly stuff. Since it's as you can see, a lot of texture on it. We have the blur. Blur is just blurring. So if you have hard edges and you need to soften them up, you just blur it.
Do you ever actually use blur?
I do quite a bit. Like here. See how it's kind of messy? And
Maybe it's just a personal thing, but I don't know. I kind of prefer the messy look, the harder look.
depends on what you want the thing to look like. But if you have accidental detail you don't want to be there, then you can easily just blur it out. Very useful for controlling stuff without needing to repaint it. So if I wanted this to be cleaner, I can just blur it out and then go back in with a brush and paint if I need to. But it's useful, especially for gradients. Very useful. For example, just starting out with a different color here. If I want just to set up a gradient, really easy gradient to my form, that's a really good base. And then what you can do is then you paint on top of that, and then you can make it look more, textural, what you want it to look like. This blur as well as the soft airbrush, it's honestly the same idea. You do that and create a really nice gradient there, and then you always have the option to paint in, create texture. A really good way of doing things, especially with characters, because you can have a whole silhouette drawn. So let's go back to something we had open. Let's go to wool. Something wool. I drew a wool here. So I have this here. Let's go ahead and just delete all this. Just setting up a initial base for the character. What can help is, putting like a transition actually in on that first layer can actually significantly help with painting light. So if I actually go in here and start painting, if I actually need to use the hard round brush. I'm just picking out the planes that are vertical-ish here. What happens is the lower part of the character is already pretty much finished because it's put into shadow by the gradient. So most of your effort goes into handling this middle ground here. So the gradient can really help get started with painting something. That's what I'm trying to say. That's basically how that works. So I'll send these to you later. The way you open these is if I just find us one of these here. Actually, I have it. All of them are here already, maybe. Let me send these to you. Invalid file type. I had two folders open. Darn.
Is that MSI?
What? Yeah, it is
That,
MSI
oh, I thought it
Afterburner.
was the band. Never mind.
MSI
I thought it
Afterburner.
was the band.
Let me show you a funny video. It's the Guinness World Record for drill rotations. Power drill from a ceiling.
I would have thought this guy was Russian if I hadn't seen the fucking subtitle. This definitely looks like some shit you see in Russia.
It would totally be a Russian thing, dude. This guy's an amateur. The next guy is actually, he falls off like this. He's amateur. Amateur hours. But this next guy is fucking nuts. This Asian guy.
Of course, it had to be the Asian.
This guy is crazy. He got the technique down. Watch this shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say if he held his leg down, he would be much better.
Yeah. Guy's going crazy.
Oh shit, he's got like
He's going, bro.
station for a second. He's gonna get the, I wonder what he's gonna get. I was gonna say, I wonder if he's gonna get the 200, but I don't think he's gonna get the 200.
No. I don't think he gets to 200.
I gotta say he's like 150.
He's fucking locked in, though.
He's full sending it.
He is literally, dude. Broke the world record. Crazy. I had never heard of this before, but I don't know how I found out about this, but that was find it funny. Let's see. What else do I need to talk about? G, paint bucket fuel. I don't know what paint bucket is set to by default, but it's this button here. Let's see paint bucket stuff.
Is that any good in... Oh, no, it also leaves a little white aftermarks.
It depends on how you have it set up. This is because there's anti-aliasing around the brush strokes, so it's not going to go up to the edges. If you area scale it more, I think it'll do it. Or not.
Maybe tolerance. I think it's tolerance.
I think it's this one. Area scaling. I think it's slightly better. But it's usually good. It's if you have selections, that's when you should be using it. G.
Yeah, what now?
Selections. If you want to easily fill
okay.
it, yeah. Use a paint bucket tool. Or when you're doing if your character silhouette, right? This is my character silhouette, and then you fill it up with the paint bucket tool. So good. Eraser, pen, brushes, masks. This is where you change the layer mode. Multiply
Yeah,
is the main one you use.
I might look it up on my free time, but I think I want to get the hang of CSP first. I'll
Okay.
probably do a couple of the exercises you gave me on CSP, and then I can, see where I'm at better.
Yeah, that's it. And yeah, you can. There's other things you can do, but that's basically. Oh, there's the rotate tool. It's actually very important for rotating the canvas.
Oh.
So what we're gonna do here is we need to
Also, I tried not
change.
to take it too much,
What?
So.
No, you do actually want to use
I
it
tried
for
not
doing your line art, cleaning up.
But then, I want to practice my angles. I want to be able to draw for more angles. Not on a line it so much.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a limit to um,
Sure, but
the
I feel like sometimes I feel like
biology of
it's
your. The way you do is you have a sketch. You do your sketch without rotating much, right? So you just draw normally. Right, so you sketch without rotating, but when you actually go ahead and draw the line art, you're gonna want to rotate. That's creating the lines that are appropriate at an angle that feels comfortable for you. There's nothing you can do about certain lines being harder to draw. That's just because our wrists have a natural range of motion to them. So if you're right-handed, lines that go at this direction are easier, and lines that go in this direction tend to be harder. Certain angles of hair can be a lot harder. In general, drawing characters facing to the left is easier for right-handed people, just because all the curves are naturally going basically with the way your hand wants to draw. That's why everybody doesn't tend to draw faces to face the other direction. Particularly mangaka will do this. They'll often actually do a drawing and flip it upside down and draw through the back side of it. Draw through the back side of it so they can draw the way they prefer, with the way it's facing to the left. It's the way that they prefer to draw it, and it feels natural for them to draw that way. Rotate tool is, you just need to know what it's set to. It should be set to R, I think. Where is it? Menu commands. Options. I don't know where it is. Canvas. It's gotta be here somewhere. You're gonna want to have a binding key for flip horizontal. I have it set to F2, but you can set it to whatever you want it to. I'll just show this for you, and you can decide what you're gonna use for that. Don't know where the rotate.
You can look it up later. It's alright.
Yeah. Okay. So make sure you find rotate key. And then there's also zoom key. A zoom tool is set to Z, so that you can hold down Z and then zoom out. Tools. Here you have zoom here. Is that everything? Color wheel?
No,
Pretty
I know
generic.
yeah.
You have
feel
color
like that would be great.
sliders you can use, RGB, HSV.
I like to use HSV. It's what
HSV
I
is
set
generally
mine
what
to.
you use. Yeah. There's eyedropper tool. Eyedropper has different options you can use. There's display color, which is the default one. But also, what else is good is also pick up color from layer. That's if you have a transparent color or you're using a multiply layer and you can't just select the display color because you won't pick up the color from the layer. So that's something you at some point will realize you need to use. But for now, it probably doesn't seem to make much of a difference. But at one point, it will. At some point. But it's something very important to know about. Yeah, hard erasers, soft erasers, pretty straightforward. That is, I would say, everything you need to know for now, and to get pretty far with. That's everything I think you're using with Krita. So, all right. I'm not sure if the recording would be useful. Really, I think. What do you need? Do you want a recording?
Yeah, actually, if it's not too much of a bother to upload.
Yeah, I got the recording going. Okay.
If it's too much of a bother to